Hello everyone, it's me Beth. Today I'd like to share with you 3 Mennonite owned and operated businesses right here in Indiana. The first photo you see here, this is Harvest Moon Foods. It's a grocery store. They sell a lot of other stuff, but they have a great little deli there. The second place I'm going to take you to is a country store that we call Meadows. They sell things like fabric, and they have a lot of fabric, quilts, rhythm clocks, household decorations, and much, much more. And the last stop is a Mennonite bulk and salvage store. And my prepper friends are going to love these deals. So that first store, Harvest Moon Foods, you can see the outside is a barn style, and then they have like a cabin themed door and cabin themed pillars. They sell sheds, playhouses, lawn furniture, and grills in the summertime. Super popular place to buy those items. That's in Rochester, Indiana. Here you can see when you get in the door to the left, they have this massive fireplace, and they have all kinds of seating if you'd like to eat there. They have this cabin-themed table, and they have booths as well. They have carts for the elderly people, the older people like me. And then they have carts for the little guys as well. And I have seen those carts being used. One of their popular items, probably their most popular item, would be this pack of cinnamon rolls. A lot of people like those. They often have them in other varieties. Raspberry sweet roll is one of those varieties. They usually have 3 kinds of bread. Now the bread is always fresh when I'm there. They usually carry a white bread, a wheat bread, and then there's usually a third kind of bread. I don't know if it's a sourdough, I can't remember, but here is a monster cookie. This is a childhood memory for me. If you've never been to this channel before, my grandmother is Mennonite. In the summer growing up, I would go to Bible school for 2 weeks in the summer. The Mennonite ladies would make monster cookies for us to have on our break with some punch or juice. And so it's a great childhood memory for me. Harvest Moon Foods also carries chocolate crinkle cookies, oatmeal raisin, old-fashioned molasses that are dipped and decorated, buttermilk cookies. These have hearts, I'm guessing for Valentine's, and then just the traditional old-fashioned molasses cookies. I would give their cookies a 5 out of 5. That's my favorite thing there. Now I took this photo so you could see the inside of the store and the decorations. In the back there, they carry their meat in that freezer. They have beef, they carry pork, and chicken. All of those are hormone-free and reasonably priced. They get their meat from Yoder's, and Yoder's is a place in Shipshewana. I'm actually going to do a video for you over Yoder's meat and cheese. I had it almost done, and I accidentally deleted the cheese photos. I will get that up and out to you as soon as possible. But back to Harvest Moon. Here you can see a baking aisle where they have bulk flour and sugar there on the bottom shelf. Now you know I love sharing unusual things with you that I find that I think you may have never seen. Here is a habanero bacon salsa. For those of you who like hot stuff, I found some jalapeno honey mustard and some hot pepper mustard. And then something that was totally different than I haven't shared before. This is a Harvest Moon label. It's a savory Italian garlic. Doesn't that sound just fabulous? Now, if you have been on the channel, you already know about apple butter. But if you haven't been here, it's very popular in our area. It's just like jelly at our local restaurants. It sits on the table at breakfast. Super popular, and everyone around here enjoys it. This is just another picture inside the store, and some of the spices there on the left, and those baked goods there that I showed you earlier were on the right. Jake and Amos, I talk about it all the time. Here are some unusual picks for you. I found some spiced dilly beans. I also found some fire tiny beets. I was looking for something that maybe I hadn't shared in another video from another store. I found some $1 million pickles. These are sliced super thin, and they have a lot of spices in them. And this last thing I have never tried, but Jake and Amos carries a lime pickle. So if you Talk about unusual. That's a usual one for me. I have not tried that. They carry a lot of handmade and homemade items. I thought those cookie jars up top were great. Handmade pottery. Love that small town, small store vibe. Here is a Thompson butter rum candle and a Thompson apple dumpling scented candle. Those are made in the USA. They have a nice aisle with different kinds of kitchen utensils. They also had ball canning supplies in stock today, my friends. Here you can see their deli. On the left, they have their cheeses. On the right, they have their meats. Everything is displayed up top wonderfully. They have where you can order your own sandwich. You pick your bread, you pick your meat, you pick your cheese, you pick your vegetables, you pick your condiments, and they get it together for you so fast. You also get to pick between barbecue and regular chips, and you get a cookie. So here I have a RB, that's my roast beef. I had a roast beef with the vegetables. I put my white American on the side. I picked plain chips, and there's my cookie. So you can pick from any of their meats and any of their cheeses. It does not matter. So if the roast beef was $7.99 a pound, it doesn't matter. Your sandwich is still the same. And this is a little to-go box, and it's super handy if you're there shopping. It's quick. They're super friendly. This is Harvest Moon Foods, my friends, in Rochester, Indiana. Right down the road is the place that I told you we call Meadows. I believe the name of it is actually Misty Meadows. It's a small country store. That's probably the owner's house, and there's a shop in back with all kinds of heavy equipment. So I believe the owner this is their business sitting right on their property, right in the middle of it. Here you can see some of the pastel variety colors of fabric. I couldn't get a price. There was no prices on any of this, and there were 3 customers ahead of me. I did not want to be rude and interrupt. They had another wall full of primary color fabric. Here you can see some threads. If you are into sewing, quilting, seamstress, it's a great little store. It has all kinds of stuff. You could spend hours in there. If you're not a sewer, but you want to be a buyer, they do have quilts for sale. They have large quilts, medium quilts, small quilts, quilts of all prices. I loved this quilt here in the middle. It's just the quilt top. It's not complete. I see that little log cabin in that dark greenish brown color pattern. Here's an example of the sizes. I knew this wall had a large, a medium, a small, and the baby quilts. So they had a good variety. And my second favorite quilt in there today was probably this quilt here on the left. That looks like something my grandfather would have done. He did the little girls in some of his quilts, and he did bonnets. So that was just super special. They had this blue quilt, and I wanted to show you a different color. So this was mostly blue and rather large. And then this final quilt, you can just see it's small, but boy, does that have a lot of detail around the edge. And then the way they set that middle up, I had to share that with you. I've shared with Amish clothing stores with you, so I figured I should share some Mennonite clothing. This is homemade. They had Bethany's bonnets. You know I'm a Beth, so that sign caught my eye, a little homemade sign. And here were some of the bonnets. My granny wears one because, now she wears her covering on her head, but when she's out in the sun, she wears a bonnet because her head gets sunburned easily. Here are some hankies. Not a lot of stores carry handkerchiefs anymore, and these have the patterns that I remember from a child digging in my grandmother and my great-grandmother's purses looking for candy, and they'd have these handkerchiefs in them. I also found, I call these doilies. Some of them look like they were actually placemats, and well, I couldn't have anything like that here. It would be stained in no time, but those were quite beautiful. They had books for adults, books for children, purses. They had some dishes. The store is packed full of stuff. There's the dishes right there in the middle. Signs with Bible verses, and it was just loaded with stuff, lamps. You could spend a lot of time in there. It's a little store, but it's a great store. So that was also in Rochester, my friends. And the third store is Rocky Ridge Discount Grocery. As you can see, it says no Sunday sales. All 3 of the stores I've shared with you today, they are all closed on Sunday. This particular store is about 8 minutes away from the other 2, the last 2 I shared with you. It sets out in the country. There's nothing to the north, east, or south. There's just a house and the barns and the property right there next door to it. That's it. It literally sits in the middle of the country. Inside, they do have some produce, not a lot. They have for the locals, they keep potatoes. They had some citrus, some bananas, and some apples. But the real buys were on the shelves, like this coconut oil. It was a huge container, non-GMO, $14. So they have a lot of these large container items. One aisle full of large containers like this canola oil. Now some things were in the large cans. For example, these are Heinz pickle spears. It says they're kosher style and 1/4 cut. I don't know if that means it's like a fourth of a pickle if they're large pieces, but it was super cheap. It was a little over $2 for that big gallon. I cannot can them that cheap. So that might be worth the risk to try something like that. They also had this Musselman's chunky applesauce. Applesauce, we make it and we can can it and we can freeze it. But this big can for $2.49, that's super cheap. If you didn't eat it all, you could always freeze it. Okra, my father loves okra. This is a half a gallon, $3.29. That sounds cheap to me for a half a gallon of just about anything. They had granola on the top shelf. It was without raisins. The bottom shelf was with raisins. It was a 50-ounce pack, I believe, and I'm going to go with $3 range. This corn syrup, oh, I was so happy to see this. It was like $3.79. We could not get this at Christmas time. I don't know if people were stockpiling, if there was some sort of shortage or travel problem, but I found this today, good until 20 of 24. Maybe everyone was just making peanut brittle, but we couldn't find very much of it anywhere. They had this Supreme Baking Molasses, a little over $4, good until 2024, if you're worried about dates. And then they had this backstrap molasses, a little over $3 for a full quart of that. So that aisle was really good. They have bulk items like all of the Amish stores I shared. The Mennonite stores have these items as well. The flour, the sugar, salt, oatmeal. They had all of that. If you didn't need the 50-pound bags or the 25-pound bags, they had them broken down into these smaller size packages. And you can see right here how clean this store is. It is a very clean store. I loved these handmade rugs. They weren't cheap at all, but I could not imagine walking on them. That bottom one, oh, I love that rug. I couldn't think of something else to do with it. I thought maybe a Christmas tree skirt. Here are some French vanilla creamers. They were $2 cheaper than you could buy in the store. We don't use them, but it was a good deal. Here's 3 pounds of jet puffed marshmallow cream. Under $3 for 3 pounds. Sounded cheap to me. They had a huge snack aisle, snacks on the left and the right. These Jay's chips, those were regular $3 and $4 a bag. $1.59. Some were getting, to that expiration date. Some were not, though. But $1.59. They had these 3-pound packs of pretzels. I can't tell what the price is on them. I think it was under $3 for that big pack. But they had bulk snacks. They had smaller snack packs as well, like these premium almond with the chocolate splashes. I looked these up. These were $3 cheaper than you could buy them online. For small children, they had things like these mini animal crackers, or cookies, whatever you want to call them. Super cute, not expensive at all. And then they had stuff for babies. Here you can see a Gerber oatmeal. It was a non-GMO, under $2. I don't have babies anymore. I don't know if that's a super deal, but they did have baby stuff. Down the refrigerator and freezer aisle I looked. They had this cheese with onion and cheese with bacon, $3.29 a pound. If you wanted super cheap, they had the trim, the leftover pieces. Here's a smoked Gouda for $1.49. They had 3 other varieties as well. Philadelphia cream cheese. I believe this is a 3-pound tub, a little over $3. It was the 1/3 less fat, but it's still a good deal. They have brown eggs. I like the sign where it said we would appreciate to have egg cartons returned. I've been there with chickens. I know egg cartons are very valuable. They have fresh, homegrown lettuce, and then they had a regular, like store-bought iceberg lettuce as well. They had lard, butter, and margarine, just like any other store would have those items. I like the real thing and the sign. That was cute. Applewood smoked bacon for $3.29 a pound. They also had another bacon. It was wrapped in a white freezer paper for $3.09 a pound. Pizzas in the freezer aisle. These were actually huge for like a little over $3, but they had chicken strips and chicken patties. They had a nice freezer section. I am so aggravated at myself. I should have bought some of these red tart cherries. They're one of my favorite things. That's a really good price, and they looked really good in that bag. Here you can see that they just need the small little conveyor belt here in a small little area for the register. It's just a small little place out in the country, but boy, the deals sometimes are big. If you enjoyed this video today, please give me a like. I know it's longer than usual, but all three of these stores are in Rochester, Indiana. They're all three Mennonite owned, so I felt I really needed to wrap them all up in one video. I hope I see you, or talk to you, I should say, again soon. I'm going to be doing gardening and more Amish stores. Bye-bye.